You just heard a 30-second excerpt from Stranded Lullaby, my favorite song from my favorite album of all time, Hawaii Part 2. Before I explain what this song is about, let me explain the entire concept of the album. Basically, a man sails to Hawaii. He finds love, he gets married, goes on a picnic in the forest, and they live happily ever after. Just kidding. The wife gets murdered and goes to heaven. The man is found guilty, goes to court, pleads insanity, gets sent to a mental asylum where they perform electroshock therapy on him, gets released, tries to build a time machine, fails, sails out to the ocean and sings because he misses his wife. A siren sings to him and he thinks it's his wife. He jumps into the sea to find her and gets killed by the siren, and then he also goes to heaven. Pretty deep, right? Anyways, there are probably some songs you know from the album, like Murders. For nothing at all. Or Dream Suite in C major. Alone. But I'm not here to nerd out about this entire album. I'm only focusing on Stranded Lullaby and comparing it to Romeo and Juliet because that's what English is about. The theme of the song is about the loneliness of an unrequited love. It's just like how Romeo killed himself and Juliet woke up, started crying, and got mad at him for not leaving any poison so that she didn't have to go through what Romeo went through. Even though we're talking about the play, I kind of see why this movie had such a low score. Also, who is McDaddy? Anyways, here are the song annotations. You can't really read them, but there's proof that I did them. I'll explain the lyrics right now. A million moments meant remembered rest in deep dark sound. This is an example of two different metaphors. The first being an example of personification. Moments can't literally rest. Resting is a human characteristic. However, they can be forgotten, which is also an example of an implied metaphor because deep dark sound compares to the back of your mind, a place where there are still memories, however they aren't really being thought of. This lyric is a sailor explaining that they're sad that their time together was cut short, and he's upset that he's forced to move on because of what happened. You're unsure if I am a loose end or a strand. This lyric is another metaphor because he's comparing himself to a loose end or a strand. It's also a metaphor because it doesn't use like or as. The sailor is trying to say that he genuinely doesn't know or doesn't have a purpose after his lover got murdered. He feels absolutely useless. I think this song relates to Romeo and Juliet because after Juliet died, Romeo didn't think he had a purpose, so he killed himself too. However, this changes from Romeo thinking he was useless to Juliet. The reason this happens is because she wakes up to Romeo dying, so she kills herself too to get rid of that void. Just like in Hawaii Part 2, the sailor dies because he wanted to fulfill his empty heart. I know it sounds weird, but that's exactly what happened.